In this video, I'm going to show you how to make some changes to your screen in Mastercam 2021, specifically to the color of the background, the color of the wireframe geometry, and also to make the change to see this particular grid and also the size of this grid in the center of your screen as well. So across the top here in Mastercam 2021 are all of the different tabs that are available to you. Specifically for this particular video, what I want to focus in is the File tab. So all these tabs and the various ribbon style user interface here is probably very familiar to everybody who has used Microsoft Office products or other similar software at this point. So I'm going to go into the File tab for this, and almost all the way at the bottom there is a configuration. I'm going to go ahead and select that, and what ends up happening is I get this system configuration dialog box that pops up. Over here on the left-hand side, I'm going to go ahead and select colors, and when I select things, I'm just using my left mouse button to select those things. The two things that I'm going to change here, well, actually they're already set on mine, but the two things that I'm going to show you how to change so that it looks more like my screen are the background color and the wireframe geometry color. So the first one is the background, and it's the third one down here in this list. The color that I use is this color number 0, which is the black color right here. So the color combination that I'm using here is the black background and then a very bright green wireframe geometry, as I've found that's really a great color combination to really be able to see clearly what's going on the screen. And so that's why I like to use that. The other thing that I want to call your attention to here is that I do not use a gradient background. I use a solid background. So I keep this use gradient background feature disabled. So in other words, I don't enable it with a check mark. I just disable it. But you can see what happened there is you may have noticed that as I selected this and then deselected it again, what happened was I ended up with this apply button being activated. So anytime you make changes to these configurations in Mastercam and then also in other parts of Mastercam, you're going to see that this apply button is going to be activated. So we have an apply button, we have a cancel button, and we also have an OK button. In this case, since we're in the system configuration dialog, as we make changes to this, you can go ahead and left click on the apply button. And what's going to happen here is that you're going to end up getting the system configuration pop-up that tells you that you can make changes that will apply to this session only or to additional sessions because you'll be making changes to your configuration file. So if you select yes, you're going to be making changes to your configuration file, and that's what I would suggest that you do. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select yes. I'm going to move down, once it stops thinking here, I'm going to go ahead and move all the way down in this list, down to the bottom of this little part of the dialog, and I'm going to select wireframe geometry. And for this, I like to use this color number 10, which is this color in the first row right here. So you can see this is already what I have going on, so my apply button does not pop up. The final thing that I want to make changes to at this point in the system configuration dialog box is right under screen. So if you don't see this grid, view sheet, and view showing up under screen, it's probably because right now the plus button is showing, and so everything is rolled up into screen. So if you select the plus button, you'll see grid, view sheet, and view. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my grid. And the only thing that I really, or you should really have to change in here is the size. So I believe that the spacing, the origin, and the snap to as always are all default, but I would want you to change your size to a 1 here. So 1.0 is what I'm showing down here. Once we make all those changes, go ahead and select the green check mark, which is the OK button. And your screen should now look like this. And if it doesn't, it's most likely because your grid is not showing. And if that's the case, there is a way to toggle that grid on and off. If I come, so I was over here in the File tab making those configuration changes. If I come all the way over here to the View tab, you're going to see that I've got this small group right here, and I've got a Show Grid toggle button. So if I left click on that, you can see that I can toggle that grid on and off. And what I recommend doing is going ahead and showing that grid. And you'll see in upcoming videos why having that grid on there is important, and why it's also something that I use quite a bit and that we'll use quite a bit in the class. See you next time.